Hi everyone, my name is Liam Morlath, and thank you for joining me today. We're here in my family room, and I'm joined by a bunch of lovely neighbors here who have come to be my audience for today's speech. I hope you enjoy. Argo takes you back, not just to the dark days of the 1979 to 1981 Iranian hostage crisis, but to a brighter, earlier time when Hollywood regularly turned out smart and engaging films that crackled with energy and purpose. This is what Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times had to say about the film Argo. Argo is a movie about a movie. The other movie, believe it or not, was also called Argo. Although, you most likely never heard of the other Argo, and I can guarantee you that you've never seen it. When the CIA needed to rescue 6 hostages from Iran, Agent Tony Mendez created a plan that at the time people said was so crazy it might actually work. This plan involved creating a fake Hollywood film, Argo, making arrangements to film it in the Middle East, and to have the 6 hostages pose as Canadian filmmakers who were looking to fly back to North America after scouting out filming locations in Iran. Argo follows along as the story unfolds with so much drama and suspense that you will have trouble believing that this is actually a true story. Today I will discuss why Argo is a must-see movie. And as long as you enjoy films, you are sure to love Argo. Director Ben Affleck combines elements of a spy thriller and a Hollywood satire as he conveys this little-known story. As a huge fan of movies, and as someone who's taken a few classes in video production and film, I assure you that you can trust my word on Argo. Now let's take a closer look at the acting, directing, and storytelling, and then we'll see why this movie became last year's Oscar for Best Picture. The first point we're going to look at is the acting. Now, Ben Affleck stars as Tony Mendez, CIA agent who seems to be calm, cool, and collected at all times. And he's the one who devised this crazy plan, and also the one who goes to Iran to carry it out. Affleck does a great job of pulling in the reins, not stealing the show, and allowing the cast to play as a whole. Bryan Cranston plays Jack O'Donnell, Mendez's boss at the CIA. O'Donnell plays somewhat of a father or older brother figure towards Mendez's character, showing much confidence in him and supporting him when others doubt him. And lastly, John Goodman and Alan Arkin play John Chambers and Lester Siegel, the Hollywood makeup artist and wisecracking veteran producer. These two are important to the film because they're responsible for most of the humor that we experience. Theirs is a smart and satirical brand of comedy, often playing upon the negatives of the Hollywood industry. These two have you laughing throughout, however, they don't take away from the seriousness of the theme of the film. The next point that I'm going to move on to is the directing. Ben Affleck does a great job of combining elements of humor, satire, drama, and suspense to create an all-around great film. Alan Arkin, actually, after working with Ben Affleck, had very nice things to say. He said that Ben treats the audience like adults. He doesn't shove you into endless close-ups, and the music doesn't tell you what's going to happen next, which is something I hate about American movies. This means a lot coming from a 50-year veteran of the industry. We also learned a lot about Ben's direct and simple style in an interview with the Chicago Tribune. He says that he learned from his grandfather not to use 25-cent words when 10-cent words will do. This is seen a lot throughout the film. And lastly, Ben Affleck's directing really stayed true to the time period. It combined actual news footage with recreations to illustrate the historical views of the time. And he also studied movies from the time period to really focus on getting that vintage look. The last main point that made Argo such a great film to me was the storytelling. It's a story that happened under the umbrella of the Iranian hostage crisis in 1980. Although the CIA's involvement in this operation was kept under wraps until Clinton declassified it in 1997. Up until then, Canada had received all the credit for the operation, and when Affleck learned of our country's involvement in it, he knew he had to tell the world. He does this by jumping between 3 vantage points, the first being Langley, Virginia, home of the CIA. Here we see the struggle to devise the plan, the doubt that it received from the higher-ups in the agency, and the process that Mendez and O'Donnell really had to go through to fight for this plan and make it credible and get the approval from the president. Next we go to Hollywood, where we see Arkin and Goodman fight along with Mendez and trick Hollywood into believing that Argo was a real film. This credibility really helped when they went to Iran and had to trick the Iranians into believing that it was a real film. And lastly, we go to Iran. We see the hostages kept up in the Canadian ambassador's home, where they've been together for almost 80 straight days, and they're now suffering from cabin fever. We also see outside the home where there's unrest between the locals, and it really shows the true danger that the hostages found themselves in. And lastly, we move to the airport, where the plan finally goes into action. Now, I won't ruin the ending for you guys, but you're sure to be on the edge of your seats as Tony Mendez and the hostages attempt to con their way out of the Middle East. In conclusion, I highly recommend that you see the film Argo if you have not already. In addition to it winning the 2012 Oscar for Best Picture, I have explained why the acting, directing, and storytelling make this truly a must-see film. The Iranian hostage crisis marked a dark time in the U.S. international affairs. However, this story is truly a ray of light shining through. So, I suggest you go enjoy Argo, a great piece of American storytelling. Thank you very much.